Hello and welcome to the next video of my LCK Spring 2023 preview series. We're covering Gen.G, one of the teams that I considered to be a Worlds contender last year, all the way until they dropped out at quarters. Last year they went 32-4 in the LCK. Really dominant summer. Spring obviously very solid, but T1 had the better of them. At the challenger level, they went 38-34. The academy team, there are no academy players on here. You may wonder why. Their academy team did not get to the point where they finished high enough to move on into the LCK Academy Championship Series to even have stats to go over. If you've been following along, I will put players on there with X's if there are sample sizes below 10, but there are games to at least cite and say, oh, well, you know. But the academy team for Gen.G are not in that position. The players that have been promoted from that team to the challengers team are in that position. Score is the coach. He's only coached 1 year. Obviously, Score being a former player, well-renowned, 32-4. The team swapped out the bot lane. They allowed Ruler to leave as well as Lehens. They chose to call up Pays, who I believe, and we'll get into, is worthy of getting an LCK slot, and then brought in Delight from Fred at Brion. The way that I feel about this roster is going to be 20.8 years old going into this year, which is, younger than it was, obviously, with Ruler and the Hens in their last year. But I think they had a way that they could have held on to Ruler and the Hens. Now, the notion is they didn't have, I think the thought is they didn't have the money because Ruler and the Hens didn't want to leave and they left. So I would have to say it's money, sponsorship, and things like that, which is puzzling with a team this good, but that's beside the point. When doing this board, I thought to myself, there were ways that I think this team could have kept them, and chose not to. So, in top lane, you have Doran at 22 years old. Doran, one of the better weak side top laners in the world, did not do great at Worlds, but I don't think was the issue. 4.2 KDA, 8.6 CS per minute, 56.5 KP. Those are all very good, especially when you think of a weak side top laner. 547 damage per minute, 24.5 damage share, 21.5 gold share, 11 champions in 40 games, Gnar, GP, and Sejuani. So Doran, pretty standard numbers when it comes to champion pool and things like that, or, well, standard champion pool. But his numbers are good. I mean, 8.6 on a weak side. He's getting a lot of farm given the fact that he is not getting a lot of love up there. And sometimes, in draft, and sometimes he's outmatched. On paper, he finds a way to get his. And, he has to step it up this split, which we'll get into. But without Ruler here, they will need a secondary carry after Chovy. Behind Doran is Zest. Zest put up great numbers in challengers, which is one of the reasons why I think they could have made up for the lack of money by allowing Zest to be bought out and then Quid to be bought out. Zest at 19 years old put up a 3.9 KDA, 8.5 CS per minute, 57 KP. Those numbers warrant an LCK slot, in my opinion. 502 damage per minute, 22.9 damage share, 22.1 gold share, 14 solo kills. By the way, Doran had 17 solo kills. For a weak side top laner to put up 17 solo kills in 40 games is pretty impressive. Won every other game. Zest with 14 and 36, 11 champions, Gnar, Ornn, and Tryndamere being the three most played. So a Tryndamere in there, and Ornn can't get much different than that. Definitely a wide array of champions for Zest. And even if it's not LCK, Photon got picked up in the LEC. Why isn't Zest, I think there is a case to be made for an LEC team or an LCS team, hell, an LJL team, PCS team, to be going after a player like Zest. There should have been a way for them to get some money that way. Peanut in the jungle, 24 years old, 5.8 KDA, 5.8 CS per minute, 66.6 KP. So it's a dog meta. Excuse me, is a dog meta in summer, and that should have been to Peanut's benefit. Peanut did not do as much work as others did when it came to KP and involvement. 2 out of every 3 kills. Usually you see 70 to 75%, which is my standard. Now, when you offset that with the farm, he was farming a bit more than you normally see out of Peanut, trying to keep up. 262 damage per minute, 11.6 damage share. That is very low. That's the lowest we've seen pretty much thus far. Like, not very involved when it comes to making things happen. 18 gold share, 4 solo kills in 40 games, 9 champions, Wukong, Poppy, and Viego being Peanut's most played. We saw at Worlds him being a major reason for their struggles when it came to the quarterfinal series, the inability to play Graves at a high level, the limited carry potential. Even though he was playing a little bit more carry-oriented in summer, he just really couldn't stack up at Worlds in that way. And I know that, you know, that's a contested topic, but I do think that is a fair read on the situation. Now, behind Peanut is Winner. I think Winner is definitely why the Challenger team, when it has multiple good players, only went 38 and 34. Winner at 19 years old put up a 3.4 KDA, a 4.9 CS per minute, 64.1 KP. So he's not making things happen at only 64% KP. And at the same time, he's not farming at under 5 CS per minute. So Peanut's job is relatively safe, maybe one of the safest ones in the LCK. 282 damage per minute, 12.6 damage share, 17 gold share, 5 solo kills in 36 games. Winner played 9 champions, Wukong, Trundle, Poppy. I understand a lot of Trundle and Poppy will bring your numbers down, but 4.9 is extremely low across a 36-game sample size, and 64 KP is very low for a jungler that's job is to participate. Chovy, obviously, I'm not going to hide the fact that I still think Chovy's the best player in the world. That gap closed a bit at Worlds, but I still give Chovy that spot. I know some people like to think, you know, the flavor of the month and Zeka and maybe others are the best player in the world, but you have to really look at a lot more than just one patch in 1 month to determine such a thing, at least from my perspective. Chovy, 7 KDA, 10 CS per minute, getting ahead in his matchups. We know he can't resist the cookies in lane. 63.6 KP, 599 damage per minute, 26.7 damage share, 23.2 gold share, 6 solo kills in 40 games, played 10 champions, Azir, Ari, Silas. Chovy's cracked. I don't think I can, sing his praises much more. Now, behind him is Quid. Quid is not going to take Chovy's spot. But Quid, like Zest, is disgusting. Quid should have been bought out by somebody else. Gen.G should have let Quid be bought out by somebody else to retain Ruler and or Lehens. More so Lehens. And that's not to say Pace is not Ruler, but the gap between Ruler and Pace, I think, is closer than Lehens and Delight. And the price and everything, like money. I mean, an 80 carries going to cost more than a support, but that's just off topic. Quid was very, very good in Challenger. 4 KDA, 9.8 CS per minute, 65.2 KP. He is ahead in his matchups. That is without a doubt. 642 damage per minute, 28.7 damage share. So he was actually the carry on the Challengers team when it came to damage. 23.7 gold share, 10 solo kills in 36 games, 14 champions, and a very eccentric champion pool. I don't know if he role swapped the top lane a couple games, but his 3 most played champions are Azir, Yasuo, and Aatrox. So definitely a interesting player that should have been bought out by somebody, should have been bought by somebody, or loaned out to Japan. Do whatever you got to do, Gen.G. I feel like that was, I know it like completely ransacks the cabinet of prospects, but you can't, it's a tough call to complain that you don't have money, but you're keeping players that you aren't going to use and you're going to lose. Whatever. Bot lane, Pays, 17 years old, is, I don't know if Bulldog with Kwangdong Freaks' birthday, I don't know if he's younger than Pays. They're both the youngest in the world, though. Excuse me. At 17 years old, Pace put up a 4.9 KDA, 9.4 CS per minute, 71.8 KP in summer. His numbers were a little better in spring, but Champion Pool had something to do with this. 634 damage per minute, 28.4 damage share, which, like I said, is less than Quid. 24.3 gold share, 6 solo kills, 36 games played, 9 champions, Aphelios, Kalista, and Senna. So the Senna bringing his numbers down a bit. Pays at a couple pentakills. Pays is very good. Is he ruler? No, but I think that we're going to have to give Pays some time. Gen.G is not a team that I think is a spring team. It's a summer team. Now, is it going to be competitive in spring? Yes. I still think it's going to be alongside DRX and KT in that second tier of teams between 4th and 6th. But Pays is what we're waiting on, right? To see if they can get up from that 4 to 6 range. I mean, or solidify themselves as a top 4 team for Worlds purposes. But that is, like I said, for Worlds purposes. We're waiting for summer to figure out if Pays can develop. Excuse me, damn it. Support, Delight, 20 years old, 2.3 KDA, 70 KP, 298 vision score per minute, 1 cleared ward every other minute, 13 champions, 42 games, Rakan, Nautilus, Leona. A lot of engage there for a meta that was Enchanter, but Fred and Brian were a puzzling bunch that we just went over the last video in this series. So, I think my opinion of Fred, well, actually now it's just Brian. I'm going to have to work that out. It's just Brian now. Nevertheless, something that I've made my opinion clear on. We'll see how Delight does on a team that's a lot better and a lot better ran and coached. Laspa is the backup, 20 years old. 3.8 KDA, 72.9 KP, so a solid player. 235 vision score a minute, 1 cleared ward every 4 minutes, which is kind of interesting, right? Delight clears twice as many wards as Laspa. 9 champions, 36 games. Nautilus, Renata, Rakan. So at least he plays the Renata, has an Enchanter. Where Delight, he played a lot of stuff, and Enchanters are in the champion pool, but not often when it came to the Fred and Brian bunch. Brian bunch. So, I think, like I said, when we're talking about Pays, this team, I'm more concerned about summer and Pays' development. I think that in spring they're going to be solid, middle tier team that are battling with KT and DRX. And some people might have higher expectations than that. But I hope that Pays is given the opportunity to develop. It's going to be very tough. It's a lot of pressure on him to try and replace Ruler. It's going to be, it's going to take a patient fan base to allow him to have his speed bumps along the way, especially alongside a new support in Delight. It's going to be interesting to see if the fan base does have that patience to give him an opportunity. At such a young age, he's going to be fragile, to say the least. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube member, and thank you for watching.